So we're going to discuss a little bit of the inyanim of the halachos of Sefira Halachos. So we said yesterday, we talked about the whole idea behind Sefira Halachos, the idea of counting, the idea of making every day, every moment choshev. Today what I just want to go through is some of the actual halachos which are negay. In fact, I asked someone yesterday, like, these halachos everyone knows, like, no, I never thought about these things. A chakira of, if you have a sofek, nafkamina, if it's one day, one mitzvah, or it's many, many mitzvahs, all of those things. I just want to go through a little bit of an inyan of the various halachos which are negay. I know we're 22 days into Sefira Halachos, but still, there are 49, so we've still got a little bit of time to go. So first of all, the mitzvah in the chinuch, mitzvah shin vov. Yesterday we said according to some shin zayin, but the chinuch counts it as mitzvah shin vov, and he explains that the shoyush ha-mitzvah, or Sefira Halachos, he says, is to realize that we came out of Mitzrayim, the Rabban Shem took us out of Mitzrayim in order to give us the Torah. That is the shoyush, says the chinuch, of the mitzvah of Sefira Halachos, which basically means, if anybody understands how we do any mitzvah, the chinuch is famous for understanding and writing the taimei, the taste, the geschmack of the mitzvah. So the chinuch writes that is the mitzvah. That means the mitzvah Sefira Halachos isn't just to say the words hayom, yom, whatever it is. It's to actually internalize and realize, what are we doing? What are we counting for? What was the purpose? And that is the chinuch in this kavaldige mitzvah. Now, the Rambam in Perek Zayin tells us, he says that in the Zman of the Beis HaMikdash, it was a mitzvah to harvest 3 sah of barley on the second night of Pesach. On the second day of Pesach was a mitzvah to bring some of this barley to the Beis HaMikdash, right? Famous Aruch HaShulchan, it started off with barley and then it ends off as wheat, which is why we go from Michael Behema to Michael Adam, which is how we work in ourselves. We're going to talk about this Be'ez Hashem, Ben Adam L'Chaveroi. We'll talk about this more by Arichas a different time. Now, the makor in the Torah for Sefira Halachos, and we know there is a makor in the Torah, Tisbru chamishim yom, right? Count 50 days. Usfartum lochem imachos haShabbos sheva Shabbosos. So here we have a very interesting phenomenon. The Torah tells us 2 different ways of counting. The first way is to count days. There are 50 days to count. Okay, we know in Lamaisa we only count 49, but there are 50 days to count. That's Lashon number 1 in the Torah. Lashon number 2 in the Torah is count 7 weeks, Sheva Shabbosos. So it's very interesting that we find a real difference in the in the commandment, in the instructions of the Torah, how to makayim this mitzvah. We'll get to that in a moment. By the way, Memachos HaShabbos obviously doesn't mean the day after Shabbos, meaning on Sunday. But again, Chazal explained this as we said yesterday. It means to Memachos HaPesach, the second day, meaning basically the second night of Pesach. Now, we don't have a Beis HaMikdash, unfortunately. Mitzvah Hashem, later on this afternoon, we're going to see it coming down from Shemaim. It's going to be unbelievable. But until then, and so far, in the first 22 days of the Omer, we have not had a Beis HaMikdash. So the question is there a mitzvah to count? Because it seemed to be a mitzvah that was tied to the Korban Omer. We don't have a Korban Omer, we don't bring the Korban Omer. The Rambam says, yes, there's a mitzvah to count. In fact, many Gedolei Rishonim, and afterwards obviously Achronim, hold that the mitzvah of Sefira Halachos Bizman Hazeh is the Oraisa. It's a mitzvah d'Oraisa. It's a mamish, a mitzvah d'Oraisa, like eating matzah on Leil HaSeder, like Sipit says Mitzrayim, like Kriyashima, like many of the mitzvahs that we do mid the Oraisa. Zoi Paskin, the Rambam, the Rif, the Shibbolei HaLekat, the Raviyah, the Chinuch, Chuvas Beis HaLevi, and others, that it's a mitzvah the Oraisa. Very choshev a mitzvah. Mamish the Oraisa. You become a mitzvah every single night. However, many, Tosfos, for example, in Menachos Samach Vov, and others hold that no, that's only Bizman Beis HaMikdash. We don't have a Beis HaMikdash. See, if we don't have a Beis HaMikdash, since it was a mitzvah that was connected to the korban, and we don't have that korban, it's a mitzvah d'Rabbanan. It's chashuv a mitzvah, or it's a mitzvah d'Rabbanan. As I mentioned, Tosfos and Menachos, the Itter, the Rashba, the Rosh, the Tor, the Smag, the Orchas Chaim, the Kolboy, the Avudran, the Mukiyosa, the Shulchan Aruch Harav, the Maisa, Balatanya, Chai Adam, the Orchas Shulchan, that they learn it's a Zeicha LeMikdash. And as we're doing it now as a remembrance, as many things we do throughout the whole year, Zeicha LeMikdash. So it's a mitzvah d'Rabbanan. So it comes out Lemaisa that it's a machlokes Rishonim and Achronim. Most Gedolei Achronim paskin that we're dealing with a mitzvah d'Rabbanan, and we'll get to that ha'ara in a moment. Now, how many mitzvahs is it? As I mentioned to you before, there are 2 psukim. Pasuk number 1 is count 50 days. Pasuk number 2 is count 7 weeks. So is it one mitzvah or is it 2 mitzvahs? The Rambam says from the very fact you make one bracha that it's one mitzvah. It's one mitzvah. It has 49 parts, but it's only one mitzvah. As I pass in the Rambam. Rabbeinu Yerucham learns that it's 2 mitzvahs. So the Alska Kasha and Rabbeinu Yerucham, they say, 1 second, if it's 2 mitzvahs, why don't we make 2 brachas? Why don't we, anyone ever think about it? Why don't we make 2 brachas every night? We should make a bracha number 1 on counting the days, because the Torah told us to count the days. Bracha number 2 on counting the weeks, because the Torah told us to count the weeks. So it's 2 different separate mitzvahs. According to Rabbeinu Yerucham, it's 2 separate mitzvahs. 2 separate mitzvahs requires 2 brachas. Where else do we find such a thing? Who? No. Oh, tefillin. Shkoyach Itzi, gewaldig. Tefillin. What do you mean? There's a mitzvah to put on tefillin. It doesn't say, the pasuk spits it out. Shal rosh and shal yad. Ashkenazim, most Ashkenazim make 2 brachas. So why can't we make 2 brachas over here? We have 2 psukim, same thing. What's the difference? You make a bracha every single day on tefillin, 2 brachas. No, yad and shal rosh. Over here also.
Once a week.
Because I'm counting the weeks each day. Each day I'm counting what week it is. You know what? Beseda. Let's say even I would do it at the end of the week, the beginning of the new week. Today is the 3rd week, the 4th week, whatever it is. Whenever we're going to make that bracha, why don't we do that? Why is it not like tefillin? Why is it not like tefillin? Where were you a few minutes ago? Rambam. Also, next, it's a pasuk of the Torah. Why is it not like tefillin? Hello. If Shaimak Zatzanim, Mishmeres Chaim asks this kasha. Why is it not like tefillin? It's early in the morning. You don't have to think so londish. Why is it not like tefillin?
Because tefillin is 2 days.
Oh, comes Yaakov and says, "Double passionat moed." By tefillin, there's 2 different items. I'm putting on a shal rosh and I'm putting on a shal yad. Here I'm saying one thing. That's what Shaiman wanted to say the chilek was. One is a meiser, 2 different meisers, a chayfetz of the shal yad and a chayfetz of the shal rosh. Okay, yesh lachka, but that's what he writes. No, but that's different. Now I'm doing the hamotzi lechem in oretz. You're talking about by Seder night is on. I'm eating matzah, meaning because I'm eating bread. When you eat bread, you have to make a bracha, right? Birchas hanenin, and then there's a bracha ala chilas matzah on the mitzvah of eating matzah on Seder night. That's a different thing. Are you with me? You sure? Let's go weiter. Now, let us move on. Why don't we make a shechianu on this wonderful mitzvah? It's a mitzvah that happens once a year, meaning the beginning, the first time. It's once a year. We do Sefira Halachos once a year. Why don't we make a shechianu? Beautiful thing. Shechianu. What happened to the shechianu? It's a question we always ask in many different mitzvahs. Why is there no shechianu? Morty, what do you tell now? Why should there not be a shechianu on this? So the Sifra Tainas that the Sefira is made din. You made din, you're not going to make a shachiyonu v'kimonu v'kiyonu lasman hazeh. What? You made din? Nah. So that's what the Sifra says. He made din is scary. It's scary. But Rosh Hashanah, because it's a new year. It's a brand new, it's a chalois of a new year. You're right, it's also made din. But also the Gemara tells us in Rosh Hashanah, there's a certain simcha we have in Rosh Hashanah, that the Rabbeinu, Yom Kippur also make it. Well, sure we do. Sure we do. It's not. Absolutely not. It's a Yom Kippur. It's a beautiful day. It's a simcha. We should be dancing and singing on Yom Kippur, which we do. Okay, that's reason number 1. Looking forward to what? So therefore what? So that's why you should make a shechianu, you're saying. Okay, so that's what I'm only giving you one reason. I have 18 reasons over here. You want me to go through? I'm not going to go through all of them right now. I'll give you one of them. The Rashba says another reason. The Rashba says, interesting you say, you remember this the rest of your life, because any kasha you have in shechianu, you have to go back to this Rashba. The Rashba says, you only make a shechianu on a hana or a maisa. There's no hana and there's no maisa. As I stated in Rashba. That's why you're not going to shechianu. Now you can ask Rashba, what about every other situation? Now we're going to start thinking, right? What about every other situation where we do make a shechianu, where there's no hana, there's no maisa? Like what? Yeah, there we are. Okay, weiter. Says no, absolutely not. That's a shayla in the Rosh Hashanah. Whether dibu kamaisa is dibu yes a maisa, is it not a maisa? Do I need birchas Torah even before writing? All these sorts of things. It's not so posh. It's a maisa, right? Lav she'im by maisa the Gemara and Marcus. Anyway, the Ran and the Rekeach want to say that since the maisa b'zman hazeh it's only zeichel hamikdash, so it's a zeichel hamikdash. Zeichel hamikdash. I don't have to make shechianu on that. As I state in the Ran, Shibboleh Leket says that since the whole Sefira Halachos is totally really in when Pesach is, So I'm Yaitz to the Shechonim in Pesach, because it's really, Sefira Halachos is totally in Pesach, so Pesach already was Yaitz. Okay, like I said, you'd see, many different reasons. We're going to go through all the reasons at this moment of time. I don't know if you ever noticed that even in an Ashkenaz Seder, there is a tefillah before the bracha called L'Shem Yechud. Now this L'Shem Yechud is in many, many situations, many places. Those of you that remember by the Seder night, L'Shem Yechud before the Daled Kosis and the Achilas Matzah and the Haggadah and everything else is beautiful, right? It's a very big yesod, by the way. It's a very, very big yesod, because even if you don't understand the L'Shem Yechud, which we'll talk about, the whole idea, which is why the Hasidim are so into it, is because the chon of the mitzvah sometimes is more important than the mitzvah itself. And there's many, many rayas to this that we're not going to go into. Many, many rayas that the chon of the mitzvah is sometimes even more choshev than the mitzvah itself. So the L'Shem Yechud, even if you don't understand it, which many people don't, right? The Shem Yud Kei Vav Kei, there's a lot of, if you remember when the Tzaddik Rebbe was here, he spoke a little bit about the Yud Kei Vav Kei that we say and how it relates and how it gematrias and all sorts of things. But if you don't understand it, why are you saying it? So some in Hanami say, don't say it. But maybe you should say it just for the simple fact was, I'm about to do Sefira Halachos. That's it, that's all you know. I'm about to do a mitzvah. According to some it's a deraisa, according to many it's a derabanan, and I'm about to do a mitzvah. Now, it's very interesting that the lashon of the Shem Yechud, if you notice, is K'moishe kosav b'Torah, like it says in the Torah, right? Now, the problem with that is, since we just mentioned that some hold it's only a derabanan, so it's a D'Rabbanan. How can you say K'moy shekosav b'Torah? Not only are you lying, well, it does say it in the Torah, but I'm about to do a mitzvah that says in the Torah, meaning it's a D'Oraisa. There's a Rambam in Hilchos Mamorim Perek Beis Halacha Tes, where the Rambam says that if someone says about a D'Rabbanan that it's a D'Oraisa, you're oivam bal toisef. You know, the Rambam says that. So you're oivam bal toisef is not a D'Oraisa. It used to be, it will be, but right now it's not.
Because at the end of the day, at the end of the day, no matter what, you are doing it for the sake of the D'Oraisa.
For the sake of, but it's not a D'Oraisa. So how can you say it's a D'Oraisa?
You're not saying it's D'Oraisa?
Yes, I am. I'm about to do a mitzvah that says in the Torah.
Like it's
very nice.
It doesn't matter if I'm doing it for the sake or if I'm doing
Good. So the Klosenberger Rebbe and Divrei Yatzev is a tshuva, Rav Elyashiv Paskan this way Lamaisa, that he says to take out those words. Take out the words K'moishe kosav b'Torah, right? He says don't say those words. Shlomo Zalman goes more with your mahalach, and in Nicha Shlomo he goes through this, and he says there's no problem to say it's a drabanan. Beseda, Ma'aser steht in the Torah. The Torah is masaking it. Happens to be a technical problem that we're still speaking lashon hara, not you guys, but that people still speaking lashon hara, like the Gemara Yuma Daf Yud, today's Daf Yomi, that says that a person is speaking lashon hara. That's why we don't have a Beis Hamikdash. We don't have a Beis Hamikdash. It's a technical problem. But the Ma'aser, the mitzvahs are d'Oraisa. Meaning the mitzvah of Sefira Halachos is be'etzem a d'Oraisa. No, it's a technical problem. We don't have a Beis Hamikdash. I mean, it's a drabanan. So Shlomo Zalman said, I'm not lying. No problem. No, K'moishe kosav b'Torah means in the Bible. Torah Shabbat Peh is beautiful, but it's not in the Bible.
It's good.
Okay. Divrei Yatzev didn't want to say it. Okay. By the way, the whole idea, for those of you that ever wondered, what is this idea of the Shem Yechud anyway? So the minhag of the Hasidim is dafka to say it because they paskin al Pita Zoya, and the Zoya says that everything of kedusha requires hazmana. Hazmana means in English, I guess, an invitation. You need to invite it. So the Zoya says before you do anything of kedusha, it requires an invitation. This is the invitation, and that's why it's very important the Hasidim dafka say it. The Noda Yehuda, by the way, has a huge tshuva. He goes absolutely crazy with this whole L'Shem Yechud. He says, you don't understand what you're saying, all this Yud Kei, Vav Keis. What are you talking? What are you saying things you don't understand? What are you saying? So he says, you should start from Hineni Muchan Muzuman, which is the minig, for example, in sons. If I'm not mistaken, in bells on his Yortzeit, they don't say that. They only start from Hineni Muchan on his Yortzeit. I think so. You'll have to check that one for me. It's a great minig to think about. Chabad, don't say it Bachlal. Nor do Minhag Hagra, which is most of the Litvish Olam over there. They don't say it Bachal, but most of the Chassidim are quite makbid on there. Now, the chiv is on every yid to say and count this for himself, right? You can't get somebody else really to do it because it says lochem. Obviously, if you have a sofek or if you're out, you can get someone to make the bracha for you, but you're meant to be counting on your own. Women, the chinuch paskins, be'etzem, women are parta, because the mitzvah says man grama, the Magen Avraham top test, Sikot Aleph says this way, women are parta, mitzvah says man grama. However, the Magen Avraham Chayot Chashulchan say that many women have makabel on themselves, like a chiv, some people do, and some people don't. The stipler they used to bring down used to remind all the women every single night to do Sefira in that case. When is... Yeah, sure it is.
So because
yeah, because it comes from there, right. Now, Zman. Uzman, we'll just finish off with this shailas. When do you start the whole night? Be'etzim is kosher. You can do it the whole night. But the reason Magdim in the mitzvahs is it meant to do it as early as possible. You can even do it before Ma'ariv, right? You're allowed. People think you have to have Ma'ariv first. No, you can do it before Ma'ariv. If for whatever reason I'm having Ma'ariv at 12 o'clock at night, I can count Sefira before that if I'm worried I'm going to forget. However, obviously Ma'ariv should come first. Todeh v'sheina todeh koydem. However, this is a very interesting shailah. What happens if a person walks into Ma'ariv a bit late? Whatever, it happens. Happens. Guy walks into Ma'ariv a bit late, and they're doing Sefira Sa'ima. What does he do? So the Poskim say you're meant to do Sefira Sa'ima at that time and count with them, and then daven afterwards. Right? A few reasons for that. Reason number one is Baroiv Am Hadras Melech. Do it together with the Tzibur. Is the Indian of doing it together with Tzibur? As I state the Yalkut Me'am Loyes. Someone will say you may forget, and the other one is the Minchas Yitzchak says you're being Polish min ha Tzibur over there. Eating. Right, half an hour before Tseis, it is osa to eat before or do malacha. Right, unless you count Sefira Sa'ima. The Ramah says this is top pay tesiv dollars. You're not allowed to eat. What does eating mean? Eating, as we know, we're learning now Arvei Psachim, the first Mishnah. Achila means an achila of pas or of mezainos, some of that. But obviously fruit, vegetables, meat, chicken, all of these things are generally not going to be a problem. Rav Moshe has a tshuva in Rechaim Chelik Daled, and he says that if a person has a minyan kavua later on, for example, like we have in yeshiva, we have a minyan kavua 8:45, so even if supper is going to be washing material, then there'd be no problem with that case. Now let me just mention one last thing for today. Understanding Sefira Sa'ima, the mitzvah of Sefira Sa'ima, as the Mishnah Berurah points out over here, Sikot and Hay, is different to many other mitzvahs. And that is, for example, he says that we have to understand that if you don't understand this mitzvah, it could be a not yotzeh, because the whole yesod is to understand what you're saying. I'm counting something. If you don't understand the words that you're uttering, then it's not really good. By the way, the Mishnah Berurah, someone will say it to Tosafim, Mishnah Berurah Scott Neal brings a Shulchan Shloima that says that's one of the reasons why women don't count. Why don't they count? Because they don't understand what they're saying. So they don't understand what they're saying. How are they counting? Right? But of course, most of us understand the simple lashon what it is. And that is something over there. There is a minhag of the Hasidim, something which we'll mention a different time as well, is to count also by day. Right, and it comes from, I mentioned this, Nosameh, where are you? Oh, I mentioned it today, it comes from the Heilige Noam Elimelech. The Noam Elimelech brings, and that's why I told you to try and do this, the Kaf HaChaim also brings it as well, the Yam Shlomo brings it, is the Indian to count after Shachris, Hayoim Yoim, whatever it is, to remind either you or everyone else to count. And that's the minig, by the way, the Chassidish minig is generally to count after Shachris, Hayoim Yoim, to remind either you or other people, oh, I forgot, this way I can count today, and I can still make a bracha tonight when you continue, and we'll continue some of the shailas and finish off tomorrow. Have a wonderful and beautiful day.